What up, gang? Welcome to the channel. I'm back with another video, and today I want to talk about something a little bit different than what I normally talk about. Today I want to talk about something that I think many people out there can relate to. I want to talk about 4 things that I believe people from the age of 30 and beyond should have. Specifically truck drivers. You don't necessarily have to be in trucking for these things to apply to you. There may be people under the age of 30 that these things can apply to as well. So let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Number 1, the first thing on the list, health insurance. Now, I know there's going to be some people out there that's going to say, man, health insurance is so expensive. I can't afford to get health insurance. It just costs too much money. And look, health insurance is expensive. If you talk to other truck drivers out there working for different companies and you hear some of the rates and some of the premiums that different people have to pay, it can get pricey. However, what I would say to that is imagine going to the hospital because you came down with an illness or whatever the case may be. You have to go see a doctor and you get that hospital bill, right? And let's just say you don't have insurance. If you think it's expensive to have insurance, how expensive do you think it's going to be when you don't have insurance and you have to pay out of pocket 100% of the cost? That's something that I think we all need to consider, particularly those that may be a little bit on the fence to getting health insurance. Even if you feel like you're the healthiest person in the world, or you rarely go to the doctor and you just feel like you really don't need it and you really don't want those deductions coming out of your paycheck, trust me, man, you need health insurance. You just never know. It definitely helps out tremendously if you have coverage. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I go to the hospital, like last year, for example, I had a colonoscopy. I'm in my 40s. When I take a look at that bill and I see what the insurance provider covered and I see what I had to pay, I'm always thanking God that I have health insurance, because had I not had health insurance, I would have had to come out of the pocket with a pretty nice lump sum of money. So it's definitely worth it. I know it can be pricey. If you're working a job right now and you may not be able to afford health insurance, look, you need to figure out another way to generate income, some additional income, so you can afford to get health insurance. It's just that important. I mean, if you have to go to YouTube, there are a ton of different videos on YouTube that are showing you how to make extra income, whether it's a side hustle, a side business, an investing strategy. There are so many different videos on YouTube that can point you in the right direction to show you how you can produce extra income. So don't let that be an excuse as to why you can't afford insurance. There are some things that you can do. All right. So health insurance, definitely number 1, man. I don't want to see any GoFundMe accounts from truck drivers that have jobs. Let me just say this, with all due respect, we lost some truck drivers last year. Respect to the families, prayers out to those families. But I noticed there were some truck drivers that had family members having to create GoFundMe accounts. And this is just my personal opinion. Again, no offense to anybody. I say this with all due respect. Actually, let me pause on that for a minute, because that's actually a nice segue into number 2. All right, so we got number 1 out the way, health insurance. Number 2, life insurance. Guys, gals, you need life insurance. We're not gonna live forever, so we need to be already preparing for these things. So these are just fundamental things that mature minds already are prepared for, right? You do that while you're still living. Get life insurance. Think about this for a second. I don't know what the family dynamics is. Some people may have spouses, right? Be married. Some people may have kids, some may not. But let's just say hypothetically that you're married and you have kids, and you and your spouse are contributing to the household expenses. You guys pay the mortgage together. You guys pay all the bills together. So you cover all the financial obligations together. And you rely on both incomes to take care of those bills. Now, let's just say something happened to one of you guys, right? And now there was only one income that had to pay all of those financial obligations. If that person or a person's partner didn't have life insurance, particularly enough to at least pay maybe the mortgage off, then that could possibly put that person in a bind, a financial bind. That could create an extra financial burden for that person, simply because their partner didn't have life insurance. And so my thought is this: I want to have enough life insurance so that if anything were to happen to me, that my wife would be fine, that my daughters would be fine. Life insurance, guys, for those of you that don't know it, it's relatively inexpensive. Life insurance is not that expensive. You can get a pretty significant life insurance policy for a very small amount of money. It's really not that expensive. So if you don't have life insurance, I definitely encourage you guys to take a look at some of these insurance providers who offer life insurance, get some quotes, and get life insurance. I don't want to see any GoFundMe accounts in 2024. We got to do a better job. I personally feel like, and this is no offense to anybody that doesn't have life insurance right now, this is just me and my philosophy. I personally feel like if you don't have life insurance and you have a family, you have kids, right? You have a wife, or maybe you don't have, a spouse, right? Maybe you're not married, but you have a kid. I personally feel like it's your responsibility to have life insurance. I think it's extremely irresponsible to not have life insurance. I think it's not holding yourself accountable. I think it's also selfish. You're only thinking about yourself. You got to think about the family. Lord forbid something happens to you. You should want to make sure that your family is fine financially, right? They shouldn't have to create a GoFundMe account to take care of all the expenses associated with burying you, or all the expenses associated with taking care of the household. So that would be number 2, life insurance. Number 3, retirement accounts. If you're working a W-2 job, if your company has a 401k or a Roth IRA, whatever retirement option you choose, just get one of them. We're not going to work forever. At some point, our bodies is going to say, you know what? You've worked all these years. I need a rest, right? You're just not going to be able to function as well as you were or as well as you did when you were younger. So you got to have that mindset and think like, I don't want to work for the rest of my life until I'm, 80, 90 years old. If I don't have to, I want to kick back and enjoy life. Well, in order for you to be able to do that, you got to start putting money away now while you can. All right. Particularly while you're young. If you're already up in age, then you still have to put money away. Put as much as you can away. Hopefully, if you started early enough, then now at whatever the age you are, you have a nice nest egg waiting on you. All right. Some of you guys have pensions. So all of those things are good, but just keep investing. Keep building that nest egg up. We see the cost of living going up. We see inflation is going up. So there are a lot of numbers getting thrown out there about how much money it's going to take for you to live in X amount of years. So all I hear is huge numbers. But again, I think it all depends on individual's lifestyle and how they're living and really how you want to live. So if you're a pretty modest person, it may not take you a whole lot of money to live. So that's number 3, retirement account. In addition to number 3, I would say also an investing account, a separate account for your investments. That's not number 4. That's I would say 3B. All right. 3A is the retirement account. 3B is the investment account. I think that's important as well. So last but not least, what I think you should have if you're 30 and beyond is a savings account. You need a savings account. I'm talking about cash that's readily accessible, that you can get to easily for emergencies, or it could just be cash that you have in your account that's ready to use whenever you take a vacation. Just have some reserves, have some capital stacked up where you can get to it. I know me personally, I keep reserves in a high yield savings account just so I can get, a little bit better interest rate on my money. So rather than keeping money in a traditional savings account like I used to, now I get 4.5% by keeping it in a high yield savings account. There's a lot of different high yield savings accounts out there. You guys can do your research on those. I've seen some with over 5% interest rates. It's just something to consider. Again, I just think these things are so important. And like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video, all of these 4 things that I mentioned really applies to just the everyday person, right? I just think it's so important to really at least have the fundamentals down. Most of you guys watching this video, I'm sure you already have these things in place. But trust me, there is somebody watching this video right now that are missing some of these key things that I believe is so important. And I believe we all need these things. All right. So that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think about these 4 things. What would you add to this list? Let me know in the comments. And to the next video, I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Y'all take care. Peace.